Okay, we are going to continue with the review of the Noble Eightfold Path. Yesterday, we took a look at how to understand dukkha in a different way, and how, not dukkha, desire in a different way, and how dukkha and desire are usually together, are always together, inseparable concomitants. We contemplate the whole cycle of desire. Yesterday, I listened to the audio of Bhikkhu Bodhi of Majjhima Nikaya 9 about right view. He explained this part as well. Firstly, the moment the desire springs up, there's already a pain of want. For example, again, I bring this example. If I want a girlfriend, the moment I say I want a girlfriend, there's already this gap between I'm not having a girlfriend on one side and me wanting a girlfriend. There is this gap of expectation. This is the first kind of suffering, the pain of want, a sense of lack. The text says. The second suffering, to end this pain, is struggle to fulfill the desire. How? All the courting processes like texting the girl, bring the girl for dinner. This is all the effort that I need to put in to get what I want. If the girl rejects me, firstly, this is the second type of suffering, because I need to put in all the effort, and then all the struggle. This is the second type of suffering. If the girl, after I putting in a lot of effort, the girl rejects me, Marcel, I think let's just be friends. A common excuse. I don't want to ruin our friendship. So if all effort fails, if the girl rejects me, we experience frustration, disappointment, sometimes despair. After putting in so much effort, I still don't get what I want. The third type of suffering. This is also important. Even, let's say, in the case where the girl, likes me back, so to speak. Even then, even if I get what I want, the pleasure of it, the pleasure of success, is not unqualified. Why? In the process of relationship, I worry that I might lose the ground I have gained. For example, if the girl, let's say, there's a better better guy out there, she might break up with me and then go with the other guy. That's one. The other way, I always, somehow there's this expectation that our partner stays the same. Be it the physical form. The girl always stays the same size and always beautiful, never gets old. This is one way, but we all know that this would not be the case. Everyone will not stay the same, not just my partner, even myself. Because of impermanence, we will all get old. Our size will change. The beauty of the girl will fade away within time, and then she will get old. Even though we stay together in a relationship, but something is always changing. My expectation for my partner to stay the same is the cause of suffering too. Here it mentioned, we feel driven to secure a position, safeguard our territory, to gain more, rise higher, establish tighter control. In the case of relationship, sometimes from girlfriend, then becomes the guy propose something, then become engaged, become fiancé, put a, Sifu always like to say, a mini handcuff on the finger. And then eventually we might get married, establish tighter controls. The demands of desire seem endless, and each desire demands the eternal. Married happily ever after, so to speak. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's all ever true, happily ever after. It wants the things we get to last forever, but all the objects of desire are impermanent. Yeah, I learned this from Venerable as well. Even, let's say there's a case where there's a happily ever after. Yeah, even then, when one of us has to pass away after having, let's say, 60 years of wonderful marriage, yeah, when one of the partner has to pass away, the pain of losing that partner is the greatest of all, because everything has been going on so well and one of you has to die and has to pass away. Yeah. After having such a wonderful relationship for so long, you have to give it up. My friend told me there's also this statistics that when one of your partner passes away, not long after, yeah, the statistic is surprisingly high. Not long after, the other partner will also follow along, pass away too. This is another type of suffering. Whether it be wealth, power, positions, or other persons, separation is inevitable. And the pain that accompanies separation proportional to the force of attachment. Strong attachment brings much suffering. Little attachment brings little suffering. No attachment brings no suffering. This is one way to contemplate dukkha, to contemplate desire, to scrutinize desire. The second way to contemplate desire is to contemplate directly the benefits flowing from renunciation. I like this sentence a lot. To move from desire to renunciation is not as might be imagined, yeah, of many people, by many people. To move from happiness to grief, from abundance to destitution. It is to pass from gross, entangling pleasures to an exalted happiness and peace, from a condition of servitude to one of self-mastery. Okay, firstly, what does this mean? From gross entangling pleasures to an exalted peace, exalted happiness and peace. You can compare between two activities and then you can see which the pleasures between these two activities, and then you can judge whether this type of activity is higher, nobler, and more exalted than others. For example, let's compare meditation, Buddhist meditation, with some people couch potato, watch movies and then having some snacks and maybe swirling the beer around. When you compare this activity, couch potato, with the one that we do every morning, Buddhist meditation, we know that the couch potato, we're not saying that they are experiencing suffering. Yeah? They are very happy to do that, just laying down around the sofa, watch the shows that they like, having the snacks that they like, drinking beers, drinking something that they like. They receive pleasure as well. But for me, compared to meditation, the happiness and the pleasure that I get from meditation, I would say that couch potato is what is mentioned here about gross, entangling pleasures. I would say a lower kind of pleasures compared to meditation, which gives me a higher, nobler, exalted happiness and peace. This is another way of saying, of contemplating desire and contemplating the benefits of renunciation. I'm not sure if you all can relate, but this is how I see it. From a condition of servitude to one of self-mastery, desire ultimately breeds fear and sorrow, but renunciation gives fearlessness and joy. Promotes the accomplishment of all three stages of the threefold training, purifies conduct, aids concentration, and nourishes the seed of wisdom. The entire course of practice from start to finish can, in fact, be seen as evolving process of renunciation, culminating in Nibbana as the ultimate stage of relinquishment, the relinquishing of all foundations of existence. Sabupatini Saga. When we methodically contemplate the dangers of desire, this section concludes, and the benefits of renunciation. These two sides. Firstly, what are the dangers, the cycle of desire and how it gives rise to suffering. And the second, the other side, the benefits of renunciation. What do we gain from it? Gradually, we steer our mind from the domination of desire. It doesn't have to be 100%, oh, I don't want anything anymore. Right now, renounce everything. But we can gradually steer away our mind from desire. Attachments are shed like the leaves of a tree, one by one, naturally, spontaneously. The changes do not come suddenly, but when there is persistent practice, there is no doubt that they will come. True, repeated contemplation, one thought knocks away another. The intention of renunciation dislodges the intention of desire. At this point, any question or comments?
Marcel, what does it mean from condition of servitude to self-mastery?
Okay, that's a good question. Let's take a look at the definition of servitude first and foremost. A condition in which one lacks liberty, especially to determine one's course of action or way of life. That's the first definition. The second definition, a right by which something such as a piece of land owned by one person is subject to a specified use or enjoyment by another. I think the first definition is more appropriate in this context. One lacks liberty, especially to determine one's course of action or way of life. Let's go back to the sentence. This one, I would borrow the explanation of Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant says, when we, like animals, seek pleasures and avoid pain, in this case, when we have desire to seek pleasure and avoid pain, we are not acting freely. We are the slaves of our desire. So when we follow our desire, Immanuel Kant says, we are in a condition of servitude. We are always following whenever there's a pleasure, we are always following that pleasure. And whenever there's pain, we are always avoiding that pain. So we are like being pulled by desire and being pushed away by pain. Yeah, we are not free. We are the slaves of our desire, of our appetite. Yeah, we are shackled by it. And this is why the text says a condition of servitude. 2, one of self-mastery. Yeah. When we steer ourselves to do something that we don't like. For example, not everyone necessarily likes meditation in the morning, but most of us wake up and do it because we know that it's good for us. Yeah? Even myself, sometimes I also prefer to sleep in. Yeah, but in the case when I manage to pull myself to do what I dislike to do, at that moment at least, I am free from the cycle of my inclination, my desire to do what I'm not necessarily like to do. And in that way, I steer towards a self-mastery, a path of discipline. And at least at that moment, I am not acting as a slave of my desire. Does that make sense for me?
Yeah, I guess so. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Okay, that's a good question. Anything else? Any questions or comments?
I just want to share this personal insight about attachment and shedding attachment. Sometimes we think that if we want to shed off attachment, we must do it immediately. But I think we also have to remember to be kind to ourselves, that time is needed. So let's say we are a chronic, say, coffee drinker. You drink 4 cups a day. It does. Drinking coffee 4 cups a day doesn't mean that if you want to shed it, you go from 4 to 0. A lot of times it is about, say, maybe I only drink 3 a day, for the next 3 months, and then later on slowly cut. That kind of self-compassion, I think, is very important to remember. And it's easier said than done. We frequently think that, shucks, I'm drinking 4 again today, or today I drank 3, and that's terrible. We don't have to berate ourselves.
Yes. Yeah, that's true too. I think some Buddhists also try to take a leap, which, from like what you mentioned, from 4 to directly to 0. And after a while, they find that, oh, this is too tough. So, but for some in my work, just directly from 4 to 0, maybe they have accumulated a lot of merits. But for most people, I think I will agree with Shomei that be kind to ourselves if we just try to do it gradually first, from 4 to 3, eventually 2, 1, 0. And if you see in the text, most of the time, the path for the disciples, for monks and lay disciples, is usually also gradual. That's why the path is called the graduated path of training. Even the Buddha did not straight away tell everyone, oh, everyone just go forth. They tell the lay disciple, oh, be generous, be kind, do giving, to soften the mind, to cultivate the soul. And gradually, when the mind starts to soften, and then the Buddha will give deeper discourse, like Shifu mentioned, and teach them slowly, one by one, until it leads to in a wholesome direction. Thanks, Shomei, for sharing. Okay. Anyone else? If not, okay, second.
just now when you talk about giving your girlfriend an engagement ring, sort of like to secure her, makes me think that actually we are like prisoners with a lot of handcuffs, you know. Then whenever we see things that we like, we will cuff to it. So we are so, you know, there's no freedom because we keep going after things that we like, and we keep handcuffing the things that we like to us, you know, that kind of thing. So it's like walking with so many handcuffs on so many things. How to go to liberation? That's why the Buddha said the first thing is you have to have this renunciation thinking. Yeah, that means you have to realize that you are craving to so many and attaching to so many things, and we must have the right view that, you know, the root cause actually is self-craving. So we have to work from ourselves. And like what Sister Shoma said, we each have our own weakness. We know our own, like you drink coffee, I don't, you know. But there is these basic precepts to keep, to uphold. This is the Buddha's reminder for us. So then we put in effort, and like what Marcel say, it's a gradual path. Slowly, we uncuff, you know, all the attachment uncuff. Yeah. So actually, there is a gradual path, and there is those in Chinese we call 顿悟跟见悟. You know how to say that in English? That means sudden, you know. There are some with, like what you say, has a lot of accumulated lots of merit. So in this life, they hear the Buddha's teaching, then from there suddenly they can just let go of everything, you know. But for people like me, so still so attached, and so I work slowly, bit by bit. Yeah, that's what I have to share. Thank you.
Thanks again for sharing. Yeah, I think like Venerable Sariputra heard 4 lines suddenly, stream entry. But I really like what Saigen mentioned, the analogy of having a lot of shackles. You know? Imagine walking with all of these shackles, and physically shackles. That would be ridiculously difficult, right? But there's also these invisible shackles that we always bind ourselves to, which is all the shackles of all of our desires. And of course, it's difficult to walk the path when we have all these invisible shackles. Yeah, I really like that analogy. Thanks for sharing. Okay, anyone else?
I think that relating to what Sister Saigen said, I think that that's why the practice of awareness, you know, how Ajahn Viradamo always emphasized just on awareness, is so important. And in our daily lives, before we tend to be very forgetful. We forget that we love some of these shackles and we tie them to ourselves, but actually we lose interest very fast too. I mean, we just have to look at some of the material things that we desire to have. You know, I can say, okay, I desire to have this set of cookware, which seems so fancy, right? But after, say, cooking 3 to 5 dishes, then I say, okay, I haven't even fully exploited it yet. Then I lost interest. It's 3分钟热度, you know, and just move on to something else. So I guess that awareness is important for us to remember that actually before we shackle ourselves, better think of how to, whether we will unlock it in say 2 to 3 weeks or 2 to 3 months. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. It's quite relatable. Recently I got this, Kindle. You guys see? Yeah, so when I first got it, oh, this is so shiny new gadget. I always bring it with me, close with me. But of course, with all devices, after a while, I would take it for granted. After like maybe like 3-6 months, this will just be just a normal stuff to me. Yeah, so that's very true and relatable. I think for your case, it's cookware. And sometimes I buy some cookware too. like a non-stick pan or non-stick.
Yeah.
Initially, I took care of it well, wash every week, but right now it's collecting dust. Okay, good example. Anyone else would like to add anything? If not, let's do a dedication. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，普愿罪障悉消除，实是常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛。Till we meet again, may we be guided by the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have an unshackled Thursday ahead. Thanks everyone for participating. I'll see you guys next time.